Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I'm Renee Allen, the host of this podcast. I'm so excited to be here. I recorded a second episode last week because I like to do 2 a week. And it was a little over 50 minutes, almost an hour long when I got done. My microphone was muted. I even tested out the audio at the beginning. So I'm really nervous. Just making sure I might be checking the audio levels every once in a while. But yeah, somehow it got muted and so all of that is lost. So I'm going to try to do what I did then. I felt so good about that episode too. I thought, this is just flowing out of my mouth. And little did I know, you'd never be able to hear it, but that's okay. So it might be a better time today. Maybe the timing's better for you to get this now. What I was talking about, I guess you can tell if you've already seen the title of this episode, is I was continuing on exploring impulse control and examining what we can do, what we can do to prevent, possibly, not always, and what we can do to deal with it, understand it, all of that. So one thing that I mentioned last week when I had my first episode about impulse control or impulsivity, the impulse portion of ADHD, because if you know about the types of ADHD, there's inattentive type, there's hyperactive / impulsive type. And then the third type is to combine the two. And then I discovered some experts even say there's a I already forgot the name of it, but one that's like a non-defined, you don't fit into a category, but you have plenty of the symptoms. As always, I don't remember unless it's right in front of me. So, and that's okay. That's okay. You may not remember either. If you're driving your car, you're not going to remember it unless well, maybe you will, but yeah. So let's go back to impulsivity. So there are 3 important types of impulsivity that are studied by psychologists, neuroscientists, who knows who else. And I wanted to look at each of those 3 a little more and understand why we act before we think, why we might do things, or even if we are thinking about it, it's still very, very strong. This impulse, this need to do things is just very strong in your body. And I can see that goes along with the hyperactivity because that is something that's in your body, this need to move. Sometimes you're aware of it, sometimes you're not. If you can't move, if you're stuck in line or something like that, if you even use the word stuck in line, I mean, most people probably do, but you might have a lot going on inside of your body to break out of that. And the same can happen with any kind of impulse. I find it fascinating to think of how far this can go. Like if you see a picture on the wall that's off center, does that bother you? So let's start there. Does it bother you? If it does bother you, do you need to get up and fix it right then? If it's in your own house, do you think I can wait? I can do that later. What if it's not in your own house? What if it's in someone else's house or it's a place of business? It's not your place at all. Do you have the urge? Do you have an impulse to go and straighten it? I'm raising my hand. 100% I do. If you see a word that's spelled wrong, and online, what can you do? But I sometimes want to correct it. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to tell people in the days of typos and stuff. It's not like, hey, you spelled that word wrong. We all do that way. But when I used to go to Sunday school class and stuff, if the teacher spelled a word wrong, it'd be really hard for me to just look at that word and not change it. And I didn't change it. But it was hard for me. The impulse to change it was very great, to take something that I see that's off and want to fix it. And if the teacher ever said, is that spelled right? I love that because then I could raise my hand and say, oh, no, actually, it's spelled this way. But there are a lot of impulses that you might have that you don't even realize. Like, why do I want to change where I'm sitting when I'm in the movie theater? I sat down. I thought I was fine, but now I'm not. I want to move over here. I'm noticing. I mean, if you also have a lot of sensitivities of sound or I don't know what else, light's coming in your eyes. I want to move over here. Sometimes things just feel weird. Like if you go into a restaurant and you're sitting at an inner table in a chair around a little table and there's other tables around you, for me, that doesn't feel as cozy as being in a booth in the side. It's not like I have to be hidden in the back of the restaurant, but there's more vulnerability or something in the middle. And one time I went into a restaurant waiting for my friend to meet me for breakfast. The restaurant was pretty empty, and the server, hostess, whoever it was, sat me in a chair like that, and I was sitting there, and it was kind of cold too, so it didn't feel cozy at all. And I usually bring a coat or a sweater, even if it's summertime, just so I can be warm. Yeah, I'm very high maintenance when it comes to comfort level, if I can. But I just thought I'd so much rather be over there in that booth. And there wasn't anything brought to me yet that was set up or anything. So I said, would it be okay if I moved over there? And she said, sure. But sometimes those impulses to move, to change, or if you're in line at the bathroom, there's a really long line, a million stalls. Are you ever curious if there's actually someone in each stall? Do you ever walk out, even if you're not at the front of the line, like maybe third or fourth back? Do you ever walk through and look under the stall for feet or shoes? And I mean, I guess they're the same feet and shoes, but do you do that? Because I've done that a lot in my life. And not always. Sometimes I'll wait, especially if there's not a ton of stalls. But if you're waiting a long time and nothing's changing, there might be an opportunity for that where people just don't know that there's one open. The door just shut all the way. And then you can say, you're not trying to take cuts or anything. You just say, hey, these two are open, or something like that. So yeah, just kind of not wanting to stand still, not wanting things to get stagnant. So yeah, there are a lot of ways that we can be impulsive, blurting something out, saying something when maybe the timing is not appropriate, or even saying something that isn't appropriate, for the situation, the read the room kind of thing. So not all impulsivity is the same. There's different kinds, and each brain does it in different ways. Honestly, it's so normal to me to be impulsive that it would be really easy for me to think, well, everyone does this. But I can 100% guarantee you that my husband never does this. He's never impulsive. And my son-in-law, my daughter's husband, I'll have to ask her, but I doubt there's an impulsive bone in his body. And it can be greater for some people than others. And when you have ADHD, it can be really great. And it can be hard. It can be hard. It can be funny, but it can also be hard. And it can also cause problems for other people or your relationships. So the three categories. And when I recorded this last week and the sound didn't work, I only got through two of the categories. So it's actually going to be a two-parter. But I'm just double checking, making sure my sound still works. Okay, here I go. So the first one is the acting without thinking. Acting without thinking. And that one, I think, we probably think most impulsive behavior is acting without thinking. That's what I thought, but it's not. There are other kinds too. So I'm just looking real quickly to see the name of this, because there's a, oh my goodness, of course, as soon as I do that, I can't find it because I'm trying to think and do it at the same time. But in my notes from the last week, I know I had that in there. Are you remembering what it is? Okay. Yeah, it was a weird name. So it's not, sometimes they just say acting first, but it's also called self-report. The inability to think or not thinking before acting, verbalizing, moving, any of that. And studies with this have mostly been on people with addiction problems. Not all people who are impulsive have addictions, but I think when people do have addictions, they have that act without thinking. They have more of a tendency to do that. So that's who they've studied, and they've found that there is some difference. There are some differences to the functioning of the brain, the executive function, the control, and if that wiring is not neurotypical, then impulse can be a problem. There can be help with serotonin, dopamine, with medication, but it doesn't necessarily mean, because one's low, then giving you more will cause this not to happen. It can also just be the regulation the activity, the way that it functions when you get the serotonin, when you have enough dopamine, it's just not functioning normally. Does that matter to us? I don't know. But if you're curious about it, it's not just kind of a low or a high thing. It can show up with a lot in people with ADHD, substance abuse, even bipolar disorder. So yeah. So let's think about it. The acting without thinking, how can that show up? The talking out loud, the saying something without raising your hand in school. That's when I was first introduced to impulse problems. Blurting. What a nice word that is, blurting. But yeah, why did I say that? When you're a child, I don't even think you think that. Like, why did I say that? You just get in trouble for saying it. As an adult, do you ever notice like, oh, I just said that. I just interrupted somebody. I'm in a room with 100 people and I just made a comment or something without raising my hand. Hopefully you haven't done that. If I have, it's been with people I usually know, but still not always the best to do. So you could also just agree to do something impulsively. You didn't think, somebody said, can you watch my kids Friday night? And you said, sure, bring them over. You just said it. You just said it really fast. And that might be your true and 100% yes, I can answer. But sometimes you commit to things, or do you? Sometimes I do. I volunteer to do something or accept a responsibility without giving it a little time. When I first started teaching yoga in a place where I get paid, I taught for probably 10 years before doing that. But when I first started teaching yoga classes, each place that you teach, whether it's a yoga studio or for the firefighters or at a gym, wherever it is, there may be other teachers that say, hey, I can't be here. I'm going to be out of town. Will you sub for me? And in the beginning, I was just volunteer happy. Yes, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And part of that was the excitement and the challenge and making more money and wanting, the FOMO. If you have the FOMO thing, if you want to be a part of everything, yeah, sure, I can go to that dinner that's right after I'm doing this with my children. That's right after that. You pack so much in because you don't want to miss out. You might not have a fear of missing out, but you don't want to miss out. Can we call it DWOMO? DWOMO. Don't want to miss out. I guess, yeah, because fear of missing. Yeah, I have to figure that out. I totally have FOMO, but I don't think it's an accurate name. I don't have a fear. I just never want to miss out. But so if you do that, you're not pausing. You're acting, you're saying, you're committing, you're signing up for something before you've really given it some thought. And I've learned, like with the subbing thing, if I see a sub request, even if I think, yeah, I could do that, unless I really, really, really want to do it and I don't want anybody else to get the opportunity, I will wait. I will wait before I write back and say, I can do it. Because chances are there's another teacher who can do it. And if I really don't want to miss the opportunity, I will say yes first. But most of the time, I'm just fine if somebody else does it. I need the time to do things like this, make my podcasts, get my website up again. So, and whatever else I've been doing in my life in the past several years. But yeah, just not committing to do stuff. Because then you have to figure out your life and move things around. And sometimes that's fun, but sometimes it causes problems. So another thing is buying something that you weren't planning on, an impulse buy. They actually call it an impulse buy because, and probably everyone in the world, except maybe my husband and maybe my son-in-law, do impulse buys where you see something, think, I should get that. I don't know, maybe they do too. Because advertising knows when we put this in front of this person, they will see it. They will imagine their life with it. They will imagine their life better with it. It's what it is. And then they'll think, yeah, I need that. Or, oh, that sounds yummy. That sounds really good. I should eat that. So if you buy something, especially if it's spending more money than you have, that's not something that you took time or care to do. And when I first got married, I didn't really get that. I remember going to a Christmas time craft fair. So it was a holiday craft fair in Pasadena or somewhere near there. We lived in Pasadena, California back then. And I got into a car full of women that were going. I was invited, and it was like $25 a ticket to go. We hardly had any money then. And I had a friend that said, I go to this every year. I bought 2 tickets. I want you to come. I bought you a ticket. And I thought, well, that's nice. And I probably had maybe $10 I could spend at that craft fair. Maybe. These were the days that my husband and I ate Cheerios 3 meals a day sometimes. He ate Honey Nut and I ate just the plain. And at the end of the day, we'd see bowls and spoons in the sink because we were fine like that. And it's just, we had to, save money sometimes, or we just didn't have a lot of money to spend sometimes in between paychecks or something. But we were fine. But anyway, so we go to this craft fair and I probably spent my $10. I don't even know if I had a credit card back then. Actually, this was in the 90s. I had an ATM card. That was a big time thing. But I knew not to take out more money than I had. And same with the card. So anyway, on the way home, one of the women was saying something like, oh my goodness, I spent $200. My husband's going to say, what did you do that for? We don't have that money. And she's like, we don't have the money, and I spent $200. And I thought, how can you spend money you don't have? I was so naive. But that was impulsive because she didn't go there planning to do that. But she saw the cutest things, so she bought some things. And I think of the really impulsive acting without thinking, like the store, like maybe you have to get in line and you can rethink stuff. I don't know if you do that, where you get up to the counter and you say, oh, can you put these socks back? I only need this pair of socks, or something like that. You can think things through because you're actually in the store. You could walk back to the row where you got that. And I do that in TJ Maxx and Marshalls, where at the end, I look at my cart. My daughter and I developed this little pattern of looking in our carts and then saying, do we really, like, we've been here 45 minutes. Do I want to get the same thing that I thought I wanted when I walked in 40 minutes ago? That's a non-impulsive thing. That's taking care to think about it. And the impulsive thing, it's easier to spend money on the internet, online, because you can just see an ad. You can be on Instagram and see an ad, and then you click on it and you go, oh my goodness, that jumper looks so cute. Oh, it's on sale. Oh, da, 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 da. Like each little thing is this little hook. They're trying to say, hey, I'm gonna get you in here. Come follow me, little girl, around this corner. It's like they're trying to get you to where they want, which is in that shopping cart, spending some money. And once you get there and you do it and it feels so good, and then it's over and you think, I honestly, when the package comes in the mail, most of the time I don't even remember what it is. And that could be a memory thing too. But that's how much I don't need that item because I'm surprised like it's Christmas every time a package comes. But yeah, there are things that I'm like, when it's not coming, I really need that. But the impulse buys, the acting without thinking. And yeah, I honestly think that it's hard to catch this. Even the buying online, you can catch that a little easier. But the blurting thing, for me, working through this and having strategies, you have to do what you can to prevent it a little bit before the situation. So like if a teacher's saying something, you're in a class and you're just like, oh yeah, and you want to just comment with this or put your hand up or share this story or whatever it is, that initial reaction right then isn't really the time to stop it unless you walk in. Like if you walk in the room and just think, okay, I'm going to not raise my hand or I'm not going to say something unless the teacher's asking for participation. And in order to help with that, I will bring a little notebook and I can doodle to give me something, or I can write down any questions I have or anything that I would like to share. It is not as fulfilling when you have something to share and you just have to write a note about it. I can guarantee you that, because some of what we do with this impulse is to release something that's building up inside. Speaking from lifetime of experience here. So if the teacher isn't calling on anyone, if you have realized you could share or, raise your hand, you should raise your hand, and, you really can't blurt out you have at least that awareness, even just the not raising your hand and not distracting the teacher or the person running a meeting or whatever it is, it's going to be harder for you because whatever's going on in your mind, it won't get to go away. If you share it, you get to go away. Or if you have a question and you ask it and they give you the answer, that need will go away. And you're trying to make that go away. Just like when you decide, oh, this is a cute pair of shoes. I see them online. You're filling up the cart. You're researching the shoes. You're reading the reviews, blah, 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 blah. All this is building up inside of you of, I need to get this. I need to get this. I need to get this. Do you really need to get this? Maybe you do. But most of the time, you just really need to relieve that pressure that's building up. That impulse is just like pushing. It's just knocking on the door. It's just like not more than knocking, but it's just like forward and back, forward and back. And if you push send on that cart and make your payment, you've relieved it. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's done. You've checked something off of your to-do list. Same thing is happening when you want to ask a question, you want to participate in a conversation or in a group setting, and you're really not supposed to. Writing something down to remind you can help you stop. Doing something with your hands, cleaning out your purse or drawing a picture or putting on some lip balm or something, that maybe can keep you busy to help with that. It won't be the same total release that's so nice when you get to share or ask a question or get your question. But it does help if you have a question, if you just write it down, or you kind of look it up on your phone if it's something that you can look up, although that's not always appropriate to use your phone either. But anyway, yeah, it's really just letting go of that. And learning that can be really helpful to prevent the impulsive shopping. Because if you're on this site for whatever clothing place it is or whatever, and you've just been not even just going so fast that you can't stop yourself. Sometimes you can spend an hour or two going down this rabbit hole and then something else comes up and oh yeah, maybe I should look at swimsuits for this summer. Do you really need one? I don't, like you don't even get that far and you just keep going with it and going with it. If you want to relieve that pressure, just keeping the stuff in the cart and clicking X, telling yourself, I need to do this later. I need to do this later. It will relieve the pressure. Sometimes putting stuff in the cart is the fun part. Knowing it's there later, just like knowing those questions are later, if you really do need to go up and ask the person about it, they haven't allowed for time in it. A lot of times teachers will say, if you hold your questions, I'll probably answer it later. But that's not always easy either. I used to go to these meetings and my friend who was in charge had an agenda, like a real agenda that we followed. And, she'd pass it out and we'd sit there. There were only like 3 or 4 of us in the meeting, but, kind of like if you're at a PTA meeting or something. And we're going through and I'd have a question and she would say, oh, we're going to talk about that later. She'd point to where on the agenda was. And I'm only laughing because that just made no sense to me to wait. I just thought, but you could answer that in a sentence right now. You could. Can you just answer right now? Because of this dying need I have and my knees shaking right now. Just reliving this thing that probably happened, I would say like in the year 2000 or something. Yeah, it builds up inside. So yeah, looking at what's happening in your body, thinking because I did have to wait. So what can I do? What can I do? If you have things going on in your body, if your mouth's kind of clenching up, your shoulders are coming up, can you relax it? Or can you let yourself wiggle? Do you need to wiggle your knee? Do you need to change how you're sitting? Do you even need to just get up and walk around? Sometimes you do. Do you need to leave and go get a drink of water? Do you need to just take a drink out of your water bottle? Something like that to kind of soothe the body in some way can help. It's hard. It's hard. I'm telling you. It's super hard. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So the second one, and we'll see if I get, it's looking like I'm on the pretty much the same time. Doesn't really make sense. The same timing as I was last time I talked about this. But honestly, I feel like I shared a lot of really good examples last time that I have no idea what they are now. They're just lost into the air in this room, I guess. But, oh well, life, huh? So, next one. Okay. I do remember one of the stories with this already from looking at it. Yay. Okay, this one is it's not that you act before you think, but you cannot stop the response. So that's like sitting there thinking, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. So this is, I guess, with the awareness of the first one, you acted without thinking. Can you take what you learned from that and in the next situation, turn it into the next kind of impulse control problem? Because the second one is easier to manage than not being able to stop a burst, not being able to stop the tide that is coming through. They call it not being able to withhold a prominent response. Prominent, it's huge. You have this huge need to respond in this way, and you're not able to withhold it. What can you do to help you do that? Have you seen this with children? The thing is, as we look at children, we've seen more examples, I guess, of children with hyperactive and impulsive struggles. And we can, a lot of times we just thought, oh, he's hyper, or he doesn't obey, or he doesn't listen, and I'm saying all the he's because a lot of little boys like that can be like that. Little girls sometimes like learn to curb it or hide it or go do a cartwheel or something. So I was always a cartwheel person. But not being able to withhold that can cause problems. I mentioned before, I accidentally kicked my mom in the face once doing a cartwheel in our house because I did it unannounced. Just like you might just start singing out of nowhere. You have this prominent response to just spontaneously sing in your house out loud or whistling songs. I love to whistle songs. And I feel like I have kind of control of my whistle ability, like it's an instrument or something. It has a little bit of a vibrato and stuff. But who knows where that comes from? I just start singing a song. It's like, where does this stuff come from? I do not know. But a lot of times that just comes out. Out in public, most of the time, I'm aware enough that I have some guard that I stop that from coming out. But sometimes not. If you are a loud sneezer, do you know anybody who sneezes really loud? That is my usual mode. It's like a scream in the second part. It's like a high scream. Choo! But really, really loud. At home, I do that. It feels really good. But out in public, all the time, except for 2 times that I can think of where I accidentally did my real sneeze. I did. And one time was at Costco, and a man came around the corner and said, I wondered who sneezed like that. And I said, yeah, I forgot I was in public. Another time was outside, walking into Publix, the big grocery store here in Florida, and just walking along the sidewalk between UPS. I looked around to see if anybody noticed. They probably just thought I was a child screaming or something. But anyway, yeah. So sometimes you can curb those things. Sometimes when you have an awareness, but sometimes even though you know it's going on, you can't. And that could even just be doing something that, like talking more than other people would want you to. Some people might say talking too much. Who decides what's too much? Some people do. They do. They decide when it's too much. And this one they say is more related to serotonin function. And amphetamines can help. Or stimulants can help, I should say. It didn't necessarily say. Yeah, I did say amphetamines can help. For me, I take an amphetamine, and I don't think it helps with the talking part at all. I find when I take my medicine before I go teach a class, I almost think twice before doing that because I think I have an awareness with it, but I want to talk more when I've just taken my medicine. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah. So let's go to some examples for this. So if you are interrupting someone mid-conversation, even though you told yourself, like, I'm gonna really try to listen more than I talk, but you get so excited, you chime in. So you weren't able to withhold that. You thought about it and you just didn't. Grabbing your phone, maybe when it's not appropriate. You're out in public, you're with friends, you're at lunch, you're wherever, And maybe it's best to keep your phone in your purse or in your pocket, but you just do that. Oh, I'm curious about this. In your impulse, you don't withhold that impulse to see if someone has texted you or to answer a question. I do this honestly all the time when I watch a TV show or a movie. I don't know that it's inappropriate, but I don't stop that response. The prominent response is a curiosity, is to curb a curiosity of, how do I know this actor? Where have I seen her before? Where have I seen him before? I know I've seen him before. What show is it? What show is it? What show is it? I quick get on my phone, IMDb, look at him up, look up the show. Sometimes I pause the show, see what season, what episode it is, so I can find it. It's a habit I have. It's really, really hard when I'm in the movie theater and I can't do that. And I never do it in a movie theater. Thankfully, I withhold that prominent response. But sometimes I even do it when I'm with family or something and we're all watching something together. I like it when they say, oh, that person is the, and I think, oh, good. I don't even have to look it up. But yeah, grabbing your phone, doing something that you might normally do if nobody else was around, but you can't stop it. What about snacking? Snacking mindlessly, eating things without thinking about it. I mean, we probably all know that we don't always eat mindfully, like, oh, I'm going to eat and think about how many times I'm chewing. I've participated in mindful eating challenges, and they are quite insightful. It was eat every time you only eat when you're sitting down, and you would do things like notice how many times you bit into, like, it could be an almond or something, how many bites it took before you swallowed the almond. So you're really noticing, or the flavor, the texture. And it does calm you a little bit. It does make you enjoy your food. The most I do, I guess, as a habit is try not to eat stuff so fast. I don't know if it's like, there's actually like a time frame that I'm eating faster than somebody else, but I just mean, like, if you're eating a cookie or something and you're like, oh my goodness, this cookie is so good, that you're not even really tasting it because you're just waiting to get the next bite. Have you ever done that? Or you're drinking something, oh, this is so good, and you're gulping it down because you just want more instead of savoring what you're eating or drinking right then. Does that make sense? You're like, oh, this is so refreshing, or whatever. So the mindful eating challenge that I did before was helpful because it taught me that I was not in the moment at all. I was kind of thinking of the next bite or another bite of ice cream or whatever. I could enjoy it more. I could savor it. I was satisfied earlier, and I was more satisfied with what I was eating. But the other thing of eating when you're sitting down, if you are someone who eats impulsively, like you just kind of wander through the kitchen and grab whatever's there and whatever's quick, and a lot of people with ADHD do that for sure. If you have a need for more dopamine, or you don't feel like cooking something but you're hungry, all of those things can make you just grab food. But what I realized when I set a goal to only eat sitting down, I'd walk through the kitchen. It could just be like my son was cutting up strawberries or something. I would be walking, all of a sudden I think, oh my goodness, I have a mouth full of strawberries, and I didn't even remember grabbing them or putting them in my mouth. Did I do that without thinking? Yeah. Or was I, yeah, the whole thing. I must have thought to some degree, but I just did it. And yeah, I think I mentioned in the last episode about how I ate that lady's onions at the boardwalk in Santa Cruz. That was a total without thinking. Because in the kitchen, I probably did think, oh, those are some strawberries. But to eat somebody else's food, I totally wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking at all. So there are some overlaps with these for sure. But yeah, even like if you're in a more of a solemn situation or a quiet situation, you're not supposed to talk and you really want to say something to somebody, or you laugh out loud and you really shouldn't, you need to, keep it quiet. Children might struggle with this more than adults, but adults do struggle with it too. When we traveled to Eastern Europe, and even Israel, we went to a lot of cathedrals. And my normal mode is talking mode. And sometimes I think, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm in a cathedral and there are people in here worshiping. I'm not just sightseeing. There maybe was one or two times, or a few times when priests would say, shh, not just to me, but to other people too. But yeah, what's your go-to response? Did you, even if you thought about it, did you keep it in? Because sometimes, like if you're supposed to be really quiet and you're told like, this is a really quiet place, and then you want to say something, you should be able to hold it, but we can't always do that. So, oh my goodness. So I do want to talk about something with this, because it really does build up in the body. And if you want a visual, and this is a story that I shared in my one that went out into this room and never got recorded. But years ago, my son, who was born in 2002, so what would that be? So he's 23, almost 22. It's hard to keep track of kids' ages when they get older. But when he was, he was in second grade, I'm pretty sure. He was in second grade. Their class went on a field trip to San Jose, downtown San Jose, big city, 1 million people, south of San Francisco, and they have a tech museum, and it was pretty cool. And San Jose is Silicon Valley, so all the tech stuff's there, and it was a really cool museum. We didn't park in a parking lot. We parked, I don't know, maybe we did park in a parking lot. I think we parked on the street. It could have been a parking lot, but it wasn't like right next to the museum. We had to walk down some big sidewalks, major intersection of a street that I would say, I don't know, maybe had 3 lanes on each side. It could have been 2. I can't remember. It was pretty wide. And it was just, it could have even been bigger. It was huge. But we're with all these little boys. And there are probably 3 other moms with me. And we're all going back to our cars to, we kind of split off from the other people in the class. And so we get to this stoplight, and you have these second grade boys who have a lot of energy. And my youngest son's one of them. And he has ADHD. He was diagnosed with the inattentive type, not the hyperactive type. But I think if he'd been tested when he was a child, 100% hyperactive. And I think actually if he'd been tested by a psychiatrist instead of the pediatrician, he went to the pediatrician when he was in college, I think he would, they would tell him he had the hyperactive impulsive, because there's so many things about this impulsivity that I have that he has too. I don't know if he does need to get up and move too. I think there's a lot about this component that maybe wasn't in the test that he took. And the teachers who filled out that part, he was in high school, so he sat still for the most part. But anyway, back to him. He needed to move. He needed to move for sure. And the few times that I homeschooled him because of issues at school, and we did it through the district, so he went to school half the day, he did really well doing his math jumping on the trampoline or playing with Legos. And I would just teach him and have him give me the answers in the air, and I'd write them down for him because he needed to move. And if he even went to the homeschool superintendent, and we would meet with her, I don't know, twice a month or something. Whenever she would talk to him and ask him about things, he would pace and he would walk around the whole time. That's how he thought and got things done in his mind. He had to pace and walk around to share what he shared. And I remember in first grade, he was kicking the counter. He was sitting at the counter and his foot was just banging against the cupboard below, I guess. And I just said, stop kicking the cupboard. And he said, oh, I have to do that with my foot because my teacher gets mad at me when I tap my pencil. And I thought, oh my goodness, but I didn't know anything about ADHD then. But he had to move his foot because he couldn't move his hand. He got in trouble for moving his hand. His body learned that he could move his foot and not get in trouble. He also sang while he ate and hummed while he ate more. So did my oldest son. But anyway, I think I've even caught myself humming while I sing it to you. Yeah, I swear sometimes I think, am I the only woman in the world that does this? Because my psychiatrist did say, well, it's rare for a woman to still have the hyperactive component. You definitely do. Anyway, so back to this. We're at the stoplight, and my son and these 3 other boys are standing at the stoplight. And this is what I think of when I think the prominent response, having this energy in your body and just needing to let that energy out, needing to let that energy out. So they're standing at this stoplight, and I remember just seeing them swaying forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, just waiting. So when that light turned green, they could run as fast as they could, which I wasn't really thinking about it like, oh, they're going to bolt, but I knew that they were waiting to go. So, we're waiting for the little, I guess it's the white man light. I always thought it was a green one. Get a green light, it should be a green white man. But I guess my kids told me, no, it's a white light. Anyway, so the light turns green. It's okay for us to walk across the sidewalk. And we'd been waiting a long time. It's a really wide sidewalk, and there's a huge space. It had to have been 4 lanes on each side, because the space in between the stoplights, at that corner, downtown San Jose, was huge. It was huge. So the light turns green, and these 4 boys let go of the pole like horses in a racetrack, like somebody had let down the gates, and they just bolted. They were running as fast as they could out into that crosswalk. And the moms are standing there about to walk, and we see this car driving as fast as it can from the other side, running the red light. And we see our boys running toward where that car is going to go. And we all screamed, "Stop!" And thankfully, all of them stopped. My son said he could, like it was almost like he could feel the rearview mirror on his body. He said it was that close. And the person just kept going. Didn't even care. And I was 100% amazed that my son stopped, because he hardly ever listens to anyone. And I said to him afterwards, because I thought, what a teaching moment. Because it wasn't like he didn't listen to people, but he has that inquisitive mind that wants to challenge everything. At least he did then. He doesn't as much now. But he'd usually think that his idea was fine and he didn't need to stop what he was doing. And I told him afterwards, that's so good that when we yelled for you to stop, you should stop. He said, I didn't hear anybody say stop. He said, I heard a voice. I heard a voice in my head that said stop, and I knew I needed to stop. Like it was just something stopped him, which was crazy and wonderful. But not crazy, but you know what I mean? Like crazy situation for sure. And wonderful that happened. But to this day, whenever not that I see these moms anymore, when I go back to California, I do. Were you there that day? They say, yeah. We got back, talked to the teachers. They held meetings about it. To the kids, we don't run at a stoplight. But this is the energy. Think about that when you're feeling like, I need to do this. It's building up in your body. It's waiting just to be that volcanic explosion. And for some people, it's like that with thoughts that they have. Even if you have an email, you get an email, you get a text, and you think, well, why did they say that? That's not what and you want to respond to them, and you have some emotions attached to that response. You want to let go of those emotions. You want to write that letter, that text, that email, and let that person know how you feel from reading what they said. Not a good idea to do that right away. Not a good idea to give into that impulse, because often you don't really know what their intent was. Maybe you're misunderstanding something. And even if you're 100% correct, by writing something, often the emotional connection is lost, and it's really easy for that person to be hurt by what you say or misunderstand what you say. Much better to pause or write the text in your notes. And like some people say, that the letter that you never send, I've done that before, where I send a text and I think this isn't going to do any good. Or I'll write an email and I'll take out at least half of it and just send the bare bones. And starting with, thank you for getting back to me so quickly, or something like that. They always say to sandwich it something nice. But yeah, whatever you have building up inside of you that is hard to resist, noticing what that is helpful. But if you can find a way to just do part of it, like the shopping, do part of it, but don't buy it. Like if I was at that craft fair and I didn't want to spend the $200, and I didn't, but that woman did, and she had a lot of regret afterwards. This is causing some issues. She was feeling bad about it. If she had done something else, if she'd strategized, okay, I'm going to be tempted by these things. I really like it. I'm going to bring my friend over and say, look how cute this is. Or you do things that are just more practical. Like when I want to buy more things, like I like these Life is Good shirts or my Lululemon leggings for yoga or something. I get good deals. I shop the sales. Still, I don't have an unlimited income. I have a whatever it's called, I have a top to it, a budget. I have a cap for sure. And even though some things may look so great on that person, or even in my mind, or it could be really great for this occasion, sometimes I think, do you have room in your closet for this? Do you have room in your drawer for this? What do you already have that's like it? Do you really need it? And that can help me decide on my own. That can help take away the pressure because I'm the one who changed my mind. Sometimes taking away the pressure is just getting rid of the shopping experience, walking out of the store, clicking that X at the top of the screen, or even just preventing it by taking those apps off of your phone. If you tend to get an email and you can go to that app on your phone pretty easily, take the app off of your phone. So you have to do it when you get home and look on your laptop, your computer, whatever you have. And that might prevent it. Delay. So anything like that can be helpful. Just to slow down. Even one of the suggestions I read was telling yourself you'll be fine. If they'd used different words, I might have liked it better. But my daughter used to say that to me when I think we should move, we need to change seats, or we need to go get in a different line, or whatever my impulse to do was, to switch lines or leave the store or whatever. And you'll be fine, Mom. It was probably actually a really nice thing that she was saying. But to me, it was more like what I was hearing was, don't be ridiculous, Mom. So yeah, verbalize it however you want, but maybe, count to 10, sing a song you like, take a walk, or just tell yourself, take an hour and see if you feel the same about this. I've even done that in the store. Like if something's it's not really on sale. On Mondays, if you're over, I think 55 at TJ Maxx, not in every state in the US, but if you're over 55, you get a 10% discount on Mondays. And that has really helped curb my spending because I don't always feel like going there on a Monday, but I don't go very often on other days because I don't want to, I think I could wait till Monday and get the 10% off. But there was one time that I went in there and I saw this picture that I really wanted, or a framed print thing, and wanted it, but it wasn't cheap. And I thought, I really, really like it. And I thought, wait a week. And if you come back here next Monday and it's still here, then, and you still want it, then get it. And it was still there. Because sometimes just that understanding that it might not still be here makes me not want to do it. But it can also help kind of, if it's meant to be, and it was still there and I got it. I don't even know. It might have been on sale, but I don't think so. Anyway, I love it on my wall. It's really a wonderful, wonderful purchase. I'm glad I bought it, but I gave it some more thought. But yeah, sometimes you just need to change your environment, get up, walk around, sing a song, drink some water, talk some sense into yourself if you need to. Oh my goodness. I think I am going to stop at that second one today because I'm about where I was last time. There is a third type of impulsivity, impulsive behavior, impulse control problem. And that is, it's if you think about the eating world and if the eating world, I'm talking about the diet culture, or I should be eating more healthy, or whatever it is. The not wanting to wait for a result, like getting something now instead of getting something better later. Many people deal with that. But if you have this problem in your brain of not having as much control with your impulses, it might be harder for you. If you've wondered, I've been on so many diets, and I know the world now isn't as like diet. They probably are, but I mean, we don't use that language as much, like I got to go on a diet. I got to go on, it was way more common 20 years ago, super common, even though everyone kind of tried to fight it. Like, this is not a diet. They all were diets. And there were a lot of books that I bought that were flat out diets for sure. But yeah, it was really hard because I would think, okay, my goal is in 6 weeks, in 2 months, you'd always like, I'm going to a wedding on that day and I'm going to fit in this dress, or I'm going to go to this family reunion and I'm going to wear a swimsuit and not be embarrassed, or whatever it was. There wasn't as much body positivity then, I don't think. And that reward, that delayed benefit compared to the right now, I could eat some ice cream. That benefit could just, you know what? I can wait till next Monday, I'll start my diet on Monday. I'll wait till, it didn't work out today. I'll do it tomorrow. There was always pushing it off. And that might be a struggle for a lot of people. But 100%, if you've got problems with impulses, your impulse might be, I can't wait for that. So I'll talk more about that in the next episode. It'll be the next one this week. And I'm going to Arizona on Thursday. And we'll be back to the next week. So we'll record everything before then from the same room. It won't be somewhere else. I haven't become daring enough to try podcasting somewhere else. I'll listen to podcasters who's like, I'm in the airport right now. I could try, but I have a feeling I've never recorded one from my iPhone. I'm using this trusty microphone, although last episode it somehow got muted. But yeah, one of my favorite people that I've learned how to do blogging, although since I've changed my website, I don't even have any of my blog articles up, but somebody that I've been learning from, his name is Pete McPherson. If you want to learn about blogging or any, kind of online business tips, I really like his approach. I just connect with him. I have to connect with the person. If I don't, I have a hard time learning from him. but he made a podcast episode about kind of like simple way to start a podcast. And I already had my podcast. This is like a month ago I was listening, but he was walking through his kitchen while he was podcasting. I'm like, how on earth can you do that? Like, I have a feeling I could try, but first of all, I'd want to do things that would be noisy. It'd be really noisy. I even have a hard time Marco Poloing to friends and stuff while I'm in my kitchen. I can talk on the phone because I can get stuff done and that noise doesn't come in. But yeah, I think I'll do all my podcasting right here for a while. We'll see. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you knowing you're out here. I love that feeling that we have a community of women with ADHD, that we're not alone. We're not alone. And if you can think of anyone you can share this episode with, maybe even 2 people. Do you remember that commercial? I think it was Fabergé Organics. And I don't even care if it dates me. When people say, this dates me, or I'm so old, I think, who cares? We're all our age. We can't help it, So when I was younger, they had that commercial where the woman was there like, I told 2 friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. And it didn't just go from 2 to 4 and 4 to 8. It didn't just double. It was getting squared. It was like 2 to 4, 4 to 16, 16 to what is that? Is that 16 times 16? Where's my math? Okay, I have to figure that out real fast because that's my impulse. I should know this because I was really good at math when I was younger. But I swear my kids took my brain cells. 256. I was going to say something else. Yeah. So anyway, things can multiply when we all share with 2 friends. Isn't that like the multi-level marketing? But this isn't that. I'm not doing that. This is the multi-level podcasting, the connecting with other women like us. But thank you so much. And do go to my website, see what I've been doing. I kind of miss my old one. I took screenshots of my old one, and this one will never look like that because the setup is so different. But I'm excited because I can have a membership in there where I can make courses and stuff. I can have my quiz on there. I just made a new quiz last week with a different software and found out that it didn't have a feature that I needed. Like it was like my most important feature. So I got a refund on that. Oh my goodness, life is so crazy, isn't it? But thank you for being here. And I guess that's it. If you're listening on audio, you get to hear my son and daughter sing their song at the end. And if you're on YouTube, thank you for coming on here and leave a comment. Please leave a comment, say hello. I love talking to people. And you can also go to my website and get on my newsletter. I will answer. I want to say I will always answer your email. I will always answer your email, even though this is 10 years later. I will. Thanks so much. Bye.
Open windows, broken shadows. Frozen dreams are left for tomorrow. Without a cause, no time for a pause. The silence of sound has yet been found, but not by me.